This is the Global Broadcasting Service, serving remote outposts since 1928.
Hi, everyone. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express monorail.
Caramba, we have something really big for you today.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
This is the DBC Pod with Phil Schoen and Jason Dodge.
Hi, friends. Welcome to this week's pod. This is show for the week of March 30th, 2026. And this is what's going on in our Disney World. Personal note, Phil, I have 93 days to my Disney vacation.
Oh, nice.
And I just hope it stays my Disney vacation. Oh. Because I don't know about you, but gas prices going all the way down to Disney might be cheaper to fly, I think, at this point.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, I'm hoping by then things turn around. I was pleasantly surprised. I forget if I've mentioned on the podcast or not, but my wife and daughter are currently down in Florida, not for Disney, but they're looking at colleges. But we were all paranoid with everything with TSA and how early to get them to the airport this morning. So we got them there at 4:45 in the morning. I drove them, and fortunately, it was not an issue. And they are down there safe and enjoying the warmth. Yeah. But
it was warm up today. I don't know why we're preambling with all this weather stuff, but my daughter had a soccer game a week ago Monday, and it was like 30 something degrees. Like my fingers are like freezing off my hands, right? And today I wear a sweatshirt to go out there, and I had to take it off. It was so warm. So I have no idea what's happening. All I know is that my head is killing me, and I'm sneezing because allergy season is upon us. The top of my white trucks, it has a sheen of green on it, so we know what's coming at this point. Today's show, we're going to talk about free roaming characters. Not a lot of news this week. We're going to talk about some Universal stuff. Last week we teased, I suppose, our upgrades to EPCOT, and Phil's been very excited to share those with everybody here. Just a reminder of our social media at the DBC Pod and our Discord server. And if you're watching this on YouTube, hit subscribe and like. We really appreciate it. It really helps us out as we expand across all platforms with all of our shorts. Here's a funny story. I don't know if I mentioned this last week. Did I tell you that somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, I saw you on TikTok." I had no idea why you showed up on TikTok. Did I mention this?
No, you didn't. All right.
So maybe it happened because it was like on Sunday night or something or something. I forget. Anyway, so one of my a friend, he was my son's basketball coach. His son also plays football with him, and he comes up to me and says, "Hey, I saw your face on TikTok, and I have no idea what you were on there. You're like talking about something, and I had no idea." I'm like, "Yeah, I do a Disney podcast." Like these worlds never met. And he went on to talk about Disney, how much he didn't like Disney, and I'm like, "I don't know how I showed you up in the algorithm." He says, "Well, the rides are awesome. I enjoy being there. The kids love it. But I hated all the line skipping in front of him. You had these people that showed up in wheelchairs, and then once it got to the end of the line, they'd hop right up and go on." I'm like, "Well, if you haven't been in a couple years, all that's kind of gone away and everything." So he got in front of all those people that were abusing the DAS system, I suppose. But so I don't know why that popped up in front of him, but like it led to that conversation. But immediately he was one of those Disney people or the dads that don't like Disney. But as soon as he's confronted with somebody that's like in a Disney dope, but fine with it, he softens to the whole thing. So I just thought that was kind of fun.
That is fun.
But
I don't know if I mentioned it on here before I told you, but I was at a work lunch the other week, and it was with two brokers, one I'd met before and one I hadn't. And we're finishing up business stuff. And the one I'd met before goes like, "Oh, how are things going with the podcast?" And I was telling the other, I was like, "Oh, well, I do a Disney related podcast." And she was like, "Shut up. I'm so into Disney." And like, we started talking nonstop for Disney for like the next 20 minutes. And she was just like, "I've never been at a meeting where somebody knew more about Disney than I did."
There you go. Perfect. Yeah. We're expanding.
So I think we got one more follower from that. She was
perfect. Fantastic. All right, so let's just hop into some of the news items. Phil, you're going to talk a little bit about Paris and then Universal. So what do we got?
Yeah, so obviously I was recently at Disneyland Paris. Unfortunately, it was before they had some of the openings at the Disney Studios Park, which has officially now been dedicated as Disney Adventure World. I guess it's officially like Disney Adventure Month because all the media went from the Disney Adventure ship in Singapore to Disney Adventure World in Paris. And World of Frozen there is opened. Obviously, a lot of media coverage and stuff like that. I think a lot of the shows have been really good. I've been really interested in the nighttime show that's taking place in the big lake water body of water there, because they're using the lights, the water lights that were supposed to be used for Rivers of Light in Animal Kingdom, and they have drones going above it. And I don't know. More I look at it, I was like, this would look really great at Animal Kingdom or something like it. I don't know if it's going to happen, but let's see. Hopefully it's just a test for that. But yeah, so the land is open. Obviously, there's been some cool things. I saw one of the vloggers was over there, and they were on the boat ride, which, because the only attraction in World of Frozen is the same one that we have at EPCOT, Frozen Ever After. But the people, Kristen Anderson Lopez and Robert Lopez, were like in the front of their boat as they were riding it. So it's like, that's kind of a cool experience to be able to ride the ride with the people who wrote the songs for Frozen and stuff, it's pretty like cool. That. So there were a lot of like neat moments like that going on. Yeah, so not too much else to say about it. The land's open, or the Frozen area and the Rapunzel ride are open. They're still working on the Up attraction, and you can see a lot of construction going on for the Lion King area. So the park's getting some love, but definitely still needs some more. So we'll see when it's complete.
The one thing I like paying attention to the World of Frozen is its reception, like how many people like it, all that other type of stuff. And then how Frozen 3 and 4 do in the theaters, because I think 3's coming out. Is that next year that's coming out, or in 28?
I think next year's 3.
And like 4 will come out, like, because I think they're making them all at once, right? So whenever that comes out too, because we were talking about this on the WDW Magic forums, right? And they were talking about the Rock and Roller Coaster expansion, and somebody said, like, where is it in the park? And people are talking about, like, you know, could you use the Villains building as a Muppets attraction down the road and kind of make a Muppets land, and but the space around it. And somehow it came to talking about Hollywood Studios and how do you expand it around. And I kind of put out a view, and basically all the area behind, like the animation courtyard building or the animation building, and everything in behind, there's a lot of room back there. And I think we've speculated on this a ton of times, but like World of Frozen, and I said if Zootopia 2 does decent, that's also another threat. Of course, Zootopia 2 is like the highest grossing animated film ever to Disney. Yeah. So there's a very good chance that we might get like a small Zootopia and a small Frozen land back there. I mean, I this is all speculation, of course, but like that is prime real estate in a perfect place for a park where it's basically IP park, right? So
there's a lot of infrastructure back there. There is the Disney animation building and stuff like that. So it would take a lot of effort to utilize that space. So it would have to be for something big that they think they're getting their return on. But obviously, I mean, the Frozen's pretty much in almost all the parks around the world now. So obviously they think there's return to be made there, and Zootopia as well. So we'll see.
Yep. We're going to talk about this a little bit later, so I'll save my comment for something else. But okay, go ahead.
One of the big kind of things that's getting a lot of attention at this is that it's the first version of the free roaming Olaf animatronic, although there was footage that just came out where it fell over. Apparently Olaf had a little too much of the French champagne or something. I don't know. But it's getting a lot of attention. It looks amazing when it's working. It looks very realistic in how he can interact with people, because he's kind of being puppeted by a Imagineer, somebody backstage or off to the side. And one of the senior vice president of Imagineering, Kyle Laughlin, said, and Olaf is really just the start. We're going to have more characters wandering our lands in the future. So that gave me some thoughts. What did you see any of the footage of Olaf, and kind of what is your thought? And then when it says it's just the start, like where else do you think we could see kind of these free roaming characters, and what would you like to see, especially when we're thinking about maybe Walt Disney World versus the international parks?
I haven't really looked at a lot of the World of Frozen stuff. I've just seen like a lot of like just the pictures on Twitter, right? I haven't watched a lot of the videos and stuff like that. I did see just some clips of Olaf walking around. I think it's really awesome. I think like I don't know what characters I'd like to see. But like I love how the technology is evolving to the point. Like I like for it to get to the point where they don't need like handlers like guarding it tremendous. Like yes, there's always going to be somebody walking along with it, right? They're not going to let it just free roam the park. But like instead of it being like completely hands off, don't get near it, to like like how they escort a normal character around, right? It's not like a big deal.
So now at least with Olaf, he's in on one of the ships at one point, and then when he was meeting the media, he was kind of behind like fencing and stuff like that. So it's like
that's what they do at Galaxy's Edge right now with the little I forget what they call them, the little tiny droids that walk around. They're like behind the fence, underneath the Falcon with Chewie, and they kind of do an interaction. It's really cool. They get up really close to the fence, but they're not walking through that. So I think it's absolutely fantastic. It's just the next evolution of things. I think it's gonna get to the point where I think they want to do like small robots, right? Because they're worried about this falling over, like landing on somebody, right? So it's not like the Hulk is not going to be walking around animatronic Hulk, right? So it's going to be small things. I don't know. It'd be cool to see, I don't know, Trolls in Frozen, or like kind of like little tiny characters like that. Maybe like actually, I don't think you can get too small. I'm thinking of like all the different mice characters in a variety of
like
Zootopia
or something.
Zootopia would be a very good one. I think that like didn't they have like Officer Hop's like kind of like prototype at one point, like hopping on the stage or something?
Yes, they did. Yeah, that was one of the it was a Judy Hopps animatronic that could like roll over and get back up on her feet and stuff like that.
So I think a lot of things like that, like I could totally see like a Tigger or a Pooh kind of running through whatever. That would be completely awesome. And I think that would like it's just the next level of like, instead of seeing, Pooh or Tigger walking through the park that's like 5.5 feet tall type of thing, like an actual like, when Pooh stands next to Christopher Robin, it's like just past the waist of a small boy. So I think like, or even like a Mickey. Like I think you can kind of do a Mickey that's not like a 5.5 foot tall Mickey. I think that'd be kind of cool too. Like match the size of the Walt statue in the Magic Kingdom kind of thing. Yeah. I don't know. What about you? What would you like to see? Is this a good addition to the parks? Does it cross your excitement meter at all? I
think it's a good addition, and it crosses my excitement meter when it looks as good as the Olaf one did. Sometimes like they add these things
absolutely,
and you're like, okay, I get it. Obviously I think one application would be adding more droids that we were supposed to have from Galaxy Edge to start. But one other place that I'd like to see it is in Monstropolis in Hollywood Studios, whether they're roaming around or even in the windows or something, because if you think about that area, it kind of looks like a regular city, right? What makes it unique is all the monsters that inhabit it. So I think if you can use puppetry or just animatronics, but also maybe having some free roaming monsters that go around, I think that would make it feel more like lived in and like a real place as opposed to just like backdrops that you walk past to get to the attraction.
I mean, a cool thing they could do is, I don't know if they're planning on building them in Monstropolis, but like, have some kind of like balcony with like doors, like it comes out of a door, walks around, waves at people, walks back in.
Yeah, exactly. Like that type of thing, or on fire escape type things like that you would see on the side of the building. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. I think that'd be great.
By the way, I just said crosses your excitement meter. I don't know how you cross a meter, since a meter goes like it's a dial rather than something you cross, but you got what I was
you were saying the meter crosses the threshold of excitement or something.
So maybe
like
that didn't make sense. I don't know. My brain was like, what did I just say?
I know what you meant. That's what you get when we're at 301 shows or whatever. So,
that's it, right? 301.
There were a number of updates related to Universal. I know we don't cover Universal too much on here, but I thought it'd be interesting to talk about a few of them. One of them is that they started to announce, or at least the first house for Halloween Horror Nights 35, because got to start thinking about Halloween already. And it's bringing back, because this is 35, so they're bringing back two of their classic characters that they've had in previous ones, both Jack and Oddfellow. And the house is going to be called Jack and Oddfellow Chaos and Control. And one of the, I guess the whatever, I forget what Universal calls their equivalent of Imagineers, but the people that are working on the house says Jordan Hill said that it's going to be the most technically demanding house they've ever done, which I'm not really interested in the scary parts of Halloween Horror Nights, but like all the effort and how the houses look is cool. That. So when I see something like technically demanding, it makes me kind of want to, hopefully there's a lot of good footage that comes out that I can actually see what it means. Like it makes me like kind of want to see the house, just not get scared from it. But it did make me kind of wonder, like, is there anything they could announce that would get you interested in like Halloween Horror Nights and want to make a trip down to experience it?
There's nothing that would make me want to go more than I like, I want to go and check it out. I've never been, so it's like on my bucket list. So it's not like, I like horror films and scary movies, but I'm not like a horror super fan at all. Mm-hmm. So there's not like, if they do like Friday the 13th, I got to get there, or whatever it might be. It's my interest level is high, but I don't think nothing's going to make it higher
Yeah.
It got me like, it's not like, oh, this is here. Let's plan a trip right now. It's just like whenever I get down there, I get down there.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same thing. There's been kind of like rumblings. I know Matt was talking about maybe we try to get down there at some point. I think if it was ever something I would do, I'd want to do it when several of us are going down together to do it.
Yeah.
I think that would make it a lot more fun. The other thing related to Universal is some permits have been filed, and I'm going to kind of group them all together. Alicia Stella did a great job summarizing this over on the Park Stop blog YouTube channel. But just to go over some of the key things that I took away from it. So there's one that people have known about for a while that is for the next expansion to the Harry Potter area in Epic Universe. And I guess that permit has moved to ready to issue. So it's almost kind of just needs to be paid for, and then they can kind of start the work on it. And apparently this will include a 150,000 square foot building as part of it. So that's going to be quite the substantial ride. There's rumors it's going to be sort of like a Quidditch, or like what's going to make you feel like you're riding a broom as part of the attraction or something.
So a next level, like Pandora Flight of Passage type of
I think
ride,
something
right?
like that. Yeah.
Didn't they have like, I could have sworn, I mean, this goes back years ago. There was some attraction where I think it was Harry Potter. It could be something else where you sat on, like a saddle or whatever apparatus, and they would like goggles would come down out of the ceiling, and they would put them on your head, and that would be like the virtual reality ride, and you would have like 9 of them in a room, and basically something like that. I don't know if anybody would be down for like a headset that's constantly being shared over and over again, but like I could have sworn that was a Harry Potter thing. I could be misremembering though, but that would be a kind of a cool thing.
Yep. But there was a new permit that was filed for inside of Epic Universe. It was very clear the address is for the park itself, and it was originally labeled. Then they changed it, and then they just retracted it altogether. But it said it was for a future attraction named as Project 680. Apparently, everything else in Universal is typically numbered with starting with a 9. So this new Potter project is 987. So the fact that it was 680 kind of got people jumping, or kind of wondering what it could be. The best guess people have is that back when there was a rumors or work that was going to be done on a Legend of Zelda area, that was Project 675. So this could be the evolution of that. That Zelda is one of the things that was rumored to be coming as part of Super Nintendo Land. I don't know. There's a lot of speculation where things are going, but it seems like they're definitely starting to move along with getting some attractions done. And it seems like they want to not just have the next, like not just rest on their laurels with Epic, but have like new things coming, and especially be ready for when Disney has all their new things open. They want there to still be reason to come visit Epic, not just do all the, we got everybody down here to see Epic, and now Disney has all their new stuff. They want to continue to have people have a reason to come to Epic.
Yeah, Len Testa had a pretty good take on this on his show this today, where they were talking about like their annual passes being like 2 years, 4 years, or whatever. They're trying to get people locked in, and on board to Epic as they're opening up, and then potentially losing guests to Disney as Piston Peak starts opening and Villains.
Yeah, so I think this is part of that as well. And then the other one that sounded, in some ways, was the most interesting to me. They have another plot of land that's about 90 acres in size, which is about the size of Epic Universe. That runs along Universal Boulevard. It's just to the west of Epic, and then stretches up closer towards where the Endless Summer Resorts are. So it's kind of like in between the two parks that they have, their two areas that they have. If you remember back a number of weeks or months ago, there was the report about the transit system, and there were all the bids that were going out, and it went to the Boring Company who won it. But one of the other companies, their plan for the transit system that would have taken people from the Epic area over to the other part ran through this plot. So there's some speculation this could be some sort of like transportation hub that could help get people from the different areas, and then also be like another version of City Walk there. So it'd kind of be like a hub that has all like entertainment and restaurants and stuff like that, that's sort of in between the two areas, and then would have some sort of transportation connecting it, so you wouldn't have to use cars or buses to get to the different Universal areas.
Yeah, that's the one problem with Universal. It's not connected like Disney is. It's in the middle of like highways and stuff like that. So it's very easy to be like out of the Universal bubble if there is one.
Because even when they're showing this like on maps and stuff, it's like it's right next to the Top Golf, and like like it's like all right by these other non-Universal things that you kind of have to get through. But I guess if they could theme it enough, maybe it wouldn't feel too bad.
Put the blinders on.
Yeah, so we'll see. So I thought that was interesting, just how they're thinking about connecting the areas. And I like with Disney, I always love all the different forms of transportation. So this kind of ties into that. So so that was the number of Universal things. And then the other topic, I saw you added a note about it. I looked up kind of the article. about this is that there's bus service that is coming from Disney Springs. They are now checking, and it's only, I think, for this week. It's supposed to end on Easter week, Sunday. Yep. That you have to have either a resort reservation or a dining reservation or some other like activity, like a boat rental or something like that, if you want to take a bus from Disney Springs to one of the Disney resorts. And so it's just, they did this around New Year's too as well. It's just when it's really busy, they don't want people parking at Disney Springs and then like locals or people that aren't staying at Disney and then start going over all the resorts, which are already like kind of overrun with people and stuff like that. So it did seem to get a lot of chatter online, and
there
a
was
lot of
a lot
people
of hubbub about it. Yeah,
I don't know if they just missed the part that it's temporary. I mean, not all the headlines reported it as temporary, so if you just read it quick, you might not have realized it. But
yeah, I mean, it was very poor reporting. I think the primary article that got tossed around was the WDW Magic title, and they're usually pretty good. Like, they're not clickbaity articles at all. And they said, I forget. We had the Blog Mickey one up, but like, I forget what they wrote. But it felt like it sounded like this is now a permanent thing. This is what they're doing. And if you actually read the article, like the article was well written. It was like basically what you just said. But like everybody started screaming about, hey, if Disney's supposed to be free, it's supposed to be allow everybody. How dare they? And then Len Testa chimed in and was like, well, now you have people like, these clickbaity things on like TikTok and stuff like that. And he posted some kind of short with a woman that's saying, take the $7 bus from MCO to Disney Springs and then hop on your resort bus and you don't have to pay a $40 Uber. And, but then again, that's bad advice because you can't take luggage on Disney resort buses. And, I'd rather take $30 and save like 5 hours of travel going all over the place. So, I mean, there's a lot of uproar about this. And that's the only reason why I posted this, because a lot of people understand that during busy times like New Year's and Easter and other times, they limit the service that you can have if you're not a paying guest at some of the resorts. And there was also like somebody else was complaining on some article on Reddit where they're like, yeah, we park at the Polynesian, have breakfast, and then we head over to Disney Springs and we do shopping and everything. And then we come back and get our car. And it's like, the Polynesian does not want you coming in for breakfast and then leaving your car there for 8 hours. Yeah. Like, that's not, what you're supposed to be doing. So I don't blame Disney for doing this. And I just get kind of weirded out. Like, people just take any reason without any semblance of context or thought to get crazy angry at Disney. Yeah.
And I can understand being like if you didn't realize it, and it seems like Disney didn't necessarily advertise that this was happening. So if you didn't realize this and your plan was to park at Disney Springs and then go to one of the resorts, you just resort hop and so, like, not to go to the theme parks, but just to kind of do what you're normally able to do. And then all of a sudden they're like, no, you can't go. And it's like, well, that messes up my plans and stuff. But apparently, at least according to the Blog Mickey article, they had like kind of like transportation controller people kind of out front, like helping out and saying like, no, this is a restriction for this week. It's going through till Sunday because of crowds. And here's how you can get to where you're trying to go. Yeah. Like they're handling it about as well as they can, but did say there was like kind of hundreds of people that this did impact. So
hundreds of people is not a lot of people considering.
I know. Well, it's if you're one of those hundreds of people, it's annoying in the moment, but yeah, compared to all the millions of people that are there, it's not that many.
Yeah. So anyway, the only reason why I brought it up because it's just one more thing on the Disney Twitter space that I don't know. I just think it's silly, but it's outrage or whatever, outrage bait. So all we're doing these days, Phil, it just frustrates me. All right, a little bit of construction updates. I got to find my page here. Excuse the blinding light. At the Magic Kingdom, there's really not too much to talk about this week, and for some reason, my screen is not updating here. Bear with me just a second. Everything disappeared. I'm gonna look at one more place. So yes, here we go. So that didn't update either. Something happened, Phil. Help me out here. What happened to my updates?
Well, I'm seeing it from the 23rd. So like obviously the dark blue paint on the turrets is continuing. It seems like the castle is almost done.
Nope, that was last week.
That was last week already. And then the mature trees as well being transferred. That was all last week. Okay.
So here we go.
All right, I'm not helping.
For some reason the dates Oh, this is why somehow the date turned to 2024, not 2026. That's what. All right. So, in any case, the Space Ranger Spin, the marquee was installed with the new graphics. You can the doorways, all the walls had come down. The marquee is installed. There's a soft open going on. So, a bunch of different little updates. You can see plenty of videos. I know Disney, Drew the Disney Dude has a lot of tips and tricks and high scores.
Yeah, he'd already got 1.5 million points or whatever.
So he's living there, living his best life. So that's pretty awesome. So check all that other stuff out. But this is going to be the last Space Ranger Spin update for the construction because we've gone through the whole process now. At Hollywood Studios, the only thing I really found that's anywhere different is that the guitar is starting to get worked on. The Rock and Roller Coaster by Reconstruct had a lot of good pictures over the last week. All minor updates to like things, but like nothing significant. There's a lot of stuff that they're testing outdoors for Tropical Americas. Nothing new. They might have a couple extra set pieces, but there's some more pictures.
Things are just progressing there. Right? It seems like the show building's starting to be closed in and stuff like that. So it's no like major thing to talk about, but there's continual like every time bio goes over anywhere, there's like, wow, that's like advanced since the last shot of photos, but just
that's
more
about
of the
it
same
at that
work.
point. Yeah. And the only other thing, there's a new set install permit for the Encanto building at Tropical America. So that's still ongoing. So they're continuously working on that. But those are all the construction updates. Like the news, there's really not much to stretch out. But I wish I should probably put like Bio Reconstruct posts new pictures about Walt Disney World. And it's just go check it out. It's really cool. So you can see some cool things there. So those are all the construction updates for this week. And now we're going to go over to the main event. And we're going to talk about easy, mid, and hard updates for EPCOT, right? Phil, I just saw you got your phone ready over there.
Yeah,
so
I was jotting on my notes down there. I had like many options for things and a lot of things I was debating.
Hear all of them. I want to hear
this a low? Is this a mid? Is this that? So I was
we could talk about it, right? That's the fun aspect. I will award you points for whether I allow this to be a mid or easy, middle, or hard update for EPCOT. So essentially what this is, it's like, give you some good examples here. So an easy update is like kind of like a seasonal update that might do something that's easy for like the festivals, but it'd be a permanent change. Or I'm saying it's a permanent type of thing, but it's relatively easy. A middle type of update would be kind of like Test Track, kind of like that would be the upper ranges of a middle one. So you're not changing the physical building, you're not tearing anything down. It's a set change, it's an overhaul, but like Test Track would be like the upper levels of a middle one. And a hard update would be like a brand new building. Like the one thing would be like adding a country or something else like that, a major project for EPCOT. So, Phil, we'll start with you since it's your favorite park.
Okay.
Do you want to go and do a whole bunch of easy ones, mid ones? How do you want to bounce around? I'll let you kind of steer.
Yeah, so I'll start with the low ones because that's where the first thing where my mind went, because I do think there are a lot of little changes that could be done to the park to kind of make it a little bit better. It always continually improving it and progressing forward and that sort of thing. One of the first things I thought about was Communicore Hall and Communicore Plaza. I was saying like just little updates like adding a mural or things like that to Communicore, and then the Communicore Plaza like adding shade and making it more like what it was supposed to be when they were first talking about it, where it's going to be like a chill area with people playing music and kind of vibing at night and stuff like that. So I think there could be some more updates to that to move it along.
Do you think, as far as Communicore Plaza adding shade, do you think they can, from an aesthetic point of view, add some kind of like tent structure, not like a literal tent, but like wavy fabrics or whatever, and just kind of create something that looks like that could just put that whole pavilion area like under some kind of shade? Because that would be pretty cool.
That's kind of what I was thinking of. Like, I don't know how much of it could cover, but yeah, some more like permanent, like flowy fabric shade or something like that. That would make it more kind of usable during the day and stuff. Because where they have the performers and it's a good show, but it's just like brutal right out in the heat where it is stuff. So I think just adding some more areas to make it more vibey, especially at night, I think would be good. But and the other one I thought about was something like adding a character caravan or something like that to World Showcase, or something that goes on during the day on the water to
that's easy to do
or something like that.
I'm surprised they don't do that already, like you do at Animal Kingdom.
Exactly. But the one I picked for, and I guess this is me kind of admitting defeat a little bit, is change out the broken ground lights that are in the middle of World
Are you
Celebration.
sure this is easy? Because this seems very, very difficult.
Apparently it's very, very difficult because they can't get it to work. But I was saying, like, at this point, just rip the whole thing out, kind of admit defeat, get rid of the planner, and put in some sort of it doesn't have to be huge, but some sort of water feature with fountains that also have lights and sync up to Spaceship Earth and stuff like that. So that would be my kind of small update, would be to redo that area and make it working.
I want the lights there because I was there like literally like a week after it opened back in 23, and the lights were gorgeous. Like it adds so much to that space. There's got to be a product out there that can do this, right? This is not like, rocket science. I agree. They should rip it out. The planter's kind of lame. I don't want a fountain there. I think it might distract from everything else that's in
yeah, that's
area.
what I'm saying. Like definitely smaller, and it would be more for like at nighttime with the shows going on and stuff like that. I don't want some big giant fountain that like really like overtakes the area, but something that's kind of like vibes with the area and is kind of more tranquil and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know what they could do, but I like the yes. I think they should rip it up. I got to think that. I just hope that this doesn't get to the level of like this is like Epcot's Yeti, right? Like this should be something that should be fixed.
Yeah, it should. This should be a lot easier than the Yeti to fix.
So I'll throw mine in here. Okay. I would like to see like permanent like cooking shows and booths, like at the festivals. You could easily add them at like Communicore Hall. You could easily add them at the Odyssey. You could build out some spaces where you can see people like just like there's spaces in between countries that you could build like semi-permanent structures. So you're not really building like infrastructure in case you want to use that expansion pad at some point in the next 30 years. But I think that'd be really cool. Epcot World Showcase is all about food now these days and snacks, and they really should like bring some of that out and kind of demonstrate some of that artistry when it comes to making that food. So it's not just like, hey, we're in a little booth and we're making 5,000 of these things an hour, and you just see people kind of doing some pre-made stuff. So I know they had it at the Food and Garden Festival for some of the aspects of it. There was somebody that was making some. Goodness, was it like clams or like mussels or something?
Yeah, well, usually at the Flower and Garden More Than Food Festival, they do some more like grilling on the spot. So yeah, right. they were doing some of the seafood, the oysters were being grilled, but some of the meats and stuff too were also being grilled to like not quite to order, but like right there. Yep. Like
yeah, I dig that. So that would be my easy one. That seems relatively easy, I think.
Yeah. So for my mids, and this is where I was kind of deciding like, is this mid or do I don't want to limit it necessarily to mid. I want them to make sure it's big and that sort of thing. Cause I did think about doing updates, like updating Spaceship Earth or specifically updating the Imagination Pavilion, redoing Journey into Imagination. But I was like, I don't want that to be like mid. I want them to like redo that whole pavilion, maybe even add a restaurant, like kind of like make that a destination because it's kind of a little out of the way. Right. So I didn't want to limit it to mid. So that's why I didn't pick it as my mid one. What I did actually ties quite well into what you said for low was for my mid is I just want them to restore what Food and Wine used to be when they used to be the giant party for the senses. And I don't know if that means leveraging the Wonders of Life Pavilion. That's where they used to have a lot of the demos and maybe doing some work to that to make it work for all the festivals. But they used to have like celebrity chefs that would come in and do demonstrations. They'd have book signings. They'd have like little like classes you could do. They had in different pavilions, they had lunch pairing, things like that. So it's like, I don't know, it's more than just like one thing here or there. It's like really like do up Food and Wine to be back to where it used to be, where it's this much more involved thing than just really the food booths and the music acts.
There should be enough to do at Epcot during Food and Wine where if I go for like 6 to 8 hours for that park, I should not have time to go on the rides because there's so many other activities like shows and stuff like that to do. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. So that was my mid was do that up.
Mine was a simple one, like update Spaceship Earth, right? Yeah. Like that definitely needs an update. I don't know if that's like a brand new track or all new sets or anything else like that. I think if you touch sets, people would get completely in a tizzy if you start updating some of that stuff. But with respect to the old, I think they should do an update. But my other one was open up the World Showcase to the public after 4:00, but you can't go on any of the rides. So you can do shopping, you can eat, that sort of thing. And because they're talking about how they're doing that at Epic Universe and using like facial recognition, so they could hope maybe do something like that going from World Showcase up to World Discovery or something else like that. I don't know if that'll bottleneck everything too much, but like, I don't know. Disney could figure out how to.
They used to have the after 4 p.m. annual pass you could get that was like a couple $100.
I'm saying like open to the public.
Yeah, I know. There. Yeah,
but I think that the more I think about it, I think about how much more of a mistake that would be because then people would just be coming in there to drink and like just be a disaster.
That's why. But I do think something, maybe it's only midweek or something like that, where it's kind of like a reasonable cost that you can come in the evening, like you said, to eat and eat and shop and
That's
stuff
a
like that.
low end mid thing if they want to offer a cheaper ticket, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what are some of your big ones, your hard ones to do?
Yeah, so I mean, the first place I think a lot of people's mind goes to is probably adding a country to World Showcase.
Where mine went.
I also just thought about, and I was kind of bucketing it together rather than one ride. It was like every pavilion that doesn't have a ride gets a ride.
Done.
But I tried to limit it a little bit, and if there's kind of one that I think is a big thing but is reasonable or something that could happen, is I would say move forward with the proposed Cherry Tree Lane project, which was going to add it to the UK. Kind of similar to what Remy did to the France pavilion, where you have this whole like kind of second area to the back. I think it would help spread the crowds. There's not that much between kind of Canada and the UK right there. So now you have a whole new area that hopefully would have an indoor attraction and kind of areas back there. And I think that would be kind of another kind of anchor point for World Showcase.
See, I would put it like, I think for crowd level, I think if you put it probably towards the Italy Chinese area, because it kind of spreads it out a little bit. Maybe Italy area would probably, if you were going to put an attraction, not based on country, but like
just to spread the crowds. That
would be, I think, pretty cool. I had one where I wanted to add a country, and I wanted to add 5 countries. Well, not all 5 countries, but here are the 5 countries.
One of these 5,
that would do it. I'm ranking them for least I'm still interested, but the least interested to the most exciting, I think. So the first one would be Spain. I think that would be really cool architecture, good food, relatively friendly country that it comes from, right? So it'd be kind of easy. The next one would be Brazil. I think we've talked about that ad nauseum. Disney has a large built-in Brazilian fan base and world travelers coming in. I thought that would be really cool. You could have some really cool things during the festivals and how they celebrate a lot of their holidays around there. I think that'd be really awesome. The third one would be Egypt. Not specifically for the food, even though I don't think I've ever really had Egyptian food before. But the architecture would be pretty neat, right? Because I don't know if that's just like too cliche or whatever, but like a Sphinx and a pyramid would be kind of cool. I don't know. You could probably have like some really cool ride or something that goes along with that. The next one would be Australia, only to get Bluey into EPCOT. I think that would be absolutely nutty if they could do that. In Australia, I don't know what you would put in an Australian pavilion other than maybe like, I don't know, some of the famous architecture.
Yeah, it's
like
famous
Sydney
architecture, and there's also like some of the, like in the countryside, there's some of those plateaus and stuff like that. And obviously a lot of, I don't know if they do any animals or something like that.
I don't think they can do animals there, but yeah.
About that.
But you can that's how you shove Bluey into EPCOT. I think that Disney's probably going to end up looking for different ways to get Bluey into the parks at this point. I don't know if it's building a country, but there's, and my most favorite would be actually India. I love Indian food. I think the World Showcase needs like more like spicy ethnic type of food rather than like, I mean, obviously like Chinese food and Japanese food are very ethnic, but they're also like, you could find them in a lot of places. Like they're very popular food types in restaurants around the country. But like Indian food is not found, or like at least good Indian food is not really found across the country. And I think they could do a lot to like add some really cool spice and stuff like that. I know it's similar spice base, like in like the for Morocco and this like spice road table type of thing, but it has its own distinct like flavoring, and they have a lot of vegetarian options, which would make my wife very happy.
That's true.
So
that's true.
That's my 5 countries. Do you have any other hard ones that you want to list out? Because I know you have to have had.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely thought about countries and stuff like that. I mean, I agree with a lot of the ones you were picking. I think Spain or Portugal, I think would be really cool. I also think Greece would be a beautiful pavilion with like it's known for like the white buildings with the blue roofs and stuff like that. So I think that would, and obviously Greek food is usually really popular at the festivals and stuff like that. So that's always at the top of my list for countries like that. So yeah, those are kind of the other things I was thinking of was really, if it's not for the festivals, like completely scrapping or whatever they're going to do, like do something with the Wonders of Light pavilion in that area. I think it's just completely unused, and I don't know, maybe they're thinking about it. Maybe they're going to demo it and do something else with that space, but that's a completely empty building.
I mean, I forget that it's like there anymore at this point.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think as much as I agree with you, I think the Imagination Pavilion, like that's such a cool building, cool architecture, all the glass at top, like you could put some kind of experience up there that like looks like a beacon from like all over the park.
Yeah.
Like there's lights or something going on there that attracts people there. And I don't know if we need another film that's in there. Like I think Damaro said like we're not changing it anytime soon. His opening like statement type of thing. That ride needs to be updated. There's really no point for going back up there. There's a meet and greet back there, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's why I was saying if it was going to be that, I didn't want that to be a mid one. I was like, yeah, redo the whole place. I would love to see. I know they talk about wanting to get Inside Out in there, like an Inside Out themed restaurant or something. I think could be really cool, with kind of like you're saying, effects and colors and things going off. I don't know. I think there's a lot you could do with that place to make it a true destination. So beyond, obviously the ride needs updating, but that's kind of the easy win. But beyond that, don't just do the ride.
I mean, all the pavilions outside of the Guardians Pavilion need updating tremendously on the inside. They're very aged at this point. So I like that one. All right. So in the next segment, Phil, are we ready for this? So you found the Addicted to the Mouse's YouTube video.
Yep.
And they went over their top 10 table service restaurants for 2024, and they have an updated list. So they compared them. I attempted to watch this with my wife last night, but she was not in the mood for watching Disney videos, so I did not catch this. But you have thankfully written a list here. So why don't you go over what they discussed?
Yeah, so I thought they're one of the Disney dining vloggers that I like. I think they do a good job, and they talk about the restaurants similar to how I think about restaurants, with like kind of the theming and the vibe and the food and also the drinks and stuff like that. So I kind of like, I guess, resonate with what they say. And I thought it was an interesting concept because they did it back in 2024, which is when, after moving to Florida, they finished trying every single table service restaurant that was at Disney at the time. But they wanted to update it because a lot of these now, maybe they'd only been to them once before, but now they've been to them a few times. And like, does their opinion change where it wasn't just maybe one-off really good experience or really bad experience, and just kind of like just to see how things evolve. So maybe I'll just list the ones that changed from 2024. So they had in 10th place, it was tied with Chico and California Grill. California Grill is now not in their top 10 list. Number 9, Boma, also not in their top 10 list. They had at number 5, Narcoossee's. That's not in their top 10 list. 4 was St. Angel Inn, and that is not in their top 10 list anymore. And then number 1 was Haleo, which, as a sneak peek, it's still in their list, but it moved from first place all the way down to 10th place. So they now have what was their top choice. They now see 9 other restaurants as being higher than that.
All right. So my initial take, just looking, I'm not even looking at their current list.
Yeah.
Just looking at what is gone now.
Yeah.
And what I mean, I can see why Boma is gone. I was never impressed with Boma. I've been twice, and both for breakfast, because everyone said, it's the best breakfast buffet on property. I don't think so. I mean, it's the same buffet. There's some extra spicy type foods.
Yeah, there's some unique options and stuff like that. And I think it's more reasonably priced than some others. So I think it's attractive. I think it's
I mean, it's not a character meal though. That's why you're not paying for it, right?
Sure.
So, but like food wise, as much as I love the Animal Kingdom Lodge, the actual place where the restaurant isn't like entirely exciting. It's just mostly an enclosed in area. The food is fine. It's just not exciting. It's the same eggs, sausage, and everything else. So the most attractive part of it is a good breakfast and it is reasonably priced, right? But if we're just talking about food wise, I can see why it's gone.
Yep.
I'm very surprised because the other one that I've really been to that's on here that's gone is the St. Angel Inn. I ate there last year and I enjoyed my meal and I love the setting that it's in.
Yep.
But it's nothing really to write home about. Like where I'm spending all this money, it's not like I had this amazingly fantastic, dining experience where like this food was absolutely phenomenal. I need to come here again. So I'm surprised that it's, all the way up there at that point. What were your initial reactions to their 2024 list?
Yeah, so I mean, there are some things I agreed with and disagreed overall with the list. I was glad to see some of the ones that were maybe lower on the list moved up. I was a little surprised California Grill is gone. To me, that's one of my top places. I think it's partly for the view and everything. It's not just the food, but I think the food is really good as well. Obviously, I do think the prefix nature of it knocks it down a little bit, but I still think the food is excellent and you can't beat the view from up there. Yeah, I was interested about St. Angel Inn. for the tequila event that I just went to, that was the first time I ate there, and I was pleasantly surprised with how much I liked the food. I thought it was really good.
It's good food.
And like you said, the setting and stuff like that. It's just interesting that it went from fourth, excuse me, to not even on the list.
Yeah, so like their current list right now, I'll just list them 1 through 10, and then we can start commenting because I know you've been to a lot more than I think. I've only been to one of these on their top 10. So go 10 to 1. You got Haleo, Chico, Raglan Road, Topolino's Terrace, The Boathouse, Chef Arts, Flying Fish, Victoria and Albert's. I think that's cheating to put that on your list.
Yeah,
and to put it third, that's really strange.
So what they said was Victoria and Albert's and also Monsieur Paul, they were like, these are amazing restaurants. We have to like recognize them, but we also know these are like not within most people's price range. So we didn't want to list it as number 1. So they kind of fudged it a little bit by putting them both at number 3 to recognize it. But if I was doing this list, I would have just sort of excluded those and say,
this doesn't belong on the list because it's
like mention it, just
meal.
say we're recognizing it, but it's not on the list because it's not where the average visitor is going to go,
or even above average visitor goes. It's a Michelin star restaurant, right? Yeah. Like if you're putting it at 3, that does the restaurant disservice.
Yeah.
Like you could just say it's a phenomenal food. It's not a normal restaurant. It's an event that you're paying.
Yeah, and they included Monsieur Paul too, which is not quite as expensive right now, but it's still like many hundreds of dollars for a couple to eat there. So.
Yeah, and number 2 is the Summer House, and Toledo is number 1. So, where do you see what is your opinion when you see this? Like to me, like Topolino's is the only restaurant I've been to, and it's absolutely phenomenal. I just haven't been to all the other ones because I have small kids and my wife is a vegetarian, so it limits the stuff that we get to when we're down there. But I know you've experienced a bunch of these.
Yeah. So overall, I like a lot of their choices, and I agree with them, especially number 1 and number 2. I think those might be my top 2, or like definitely in the top 5. Toledo, I think is great. And it's one of those options that you can do it at a reasonable price, which I like. And Summer House on the Lake has become sort of our family's go-to at Disney Springs because there's something for everyone there. And again, you can do it without breaking the bank.
Did they mention like the reason why they like Toledo's because it's more of like a tapas style thing where they're going? It's like you can try a whole bunch of different stuff. Is that something
they said they like? They said they like that, and they were comparing it to Haleo, which is also kind of tapas, where they felt that at Toledo it was more approachable to more people. Where Haleo, you kind of have to like sort of that Spanish style food, and if you're not into that, that's kind of the only option there. Where Toledo has food they felt was like more options, more people would find it there, plus the location being at top of the building, you can see out and see some of the fireworks and stuff like that. So that was why they talked that one up.
Did they give like points to like location, ease of get to, that sort of thing?
They definitely gave points to location and theming and like what you could see for it. That was another reason Topolino's Terrace made their list, for example, was that it has the patio outside. You can see the fireworks and stuff like that. They didn't necessarily mention ease of getting to a place. They're local, so they're driving to wherever they're going pretty much. So they didn't get into that aspect of it, but they did give points for the location. That was part of the theming.
What's amazing to me is actually, no, I'm thinking of a different restaurant. Never mind. I was going to say something, and I was going to say about the Boathouse, but I'm not thinking about the Boathouse. I'm thinking of a different restaurant.
Yeah. So the ones that like sort of jump out at me where I've had different experiences where they wouldn't be in my top 10. Number 9 is Chico. It's not that it was bad. It was actually a very good meal, but it just didn't blow me away. And it was definitely one of those places where the bill came and it was like, oh, that's how much that was, that type of a thing. So I know a lot of people love it, and they've had amazing meals there. So maybe a lot of these I just need to give another shot. But when there's so many other places, it was kind of like, all right, it was good, but there's other places I'd rather go to.
I've tried to go to Chico's, I don't know how many times, especially since we stayed at the resort. We're going to be staying at the resort, Animal Kingdom Lodge. And I look at the menu, and the menu just doesn't like, oh, I really want to try that. It looks like a lot of great food, but nothing stands out that I couldn't get near me. Yeah. And I can see how that ranks closer to number 9 down at the bottom of their list. It's just, I look in there, I'm like, I want to go there. And then I'm like, I don't want to spend $200 tonight on, a couple of meals. So
that's kind of what we felt like too.
Yeah.
One of them, number 5, Chef Artsmith's Homecoming. I know I'm probably going to get roasted for this, but it's another one where we enjoyed our meal, but I don't think I quite got the hype for it. I don't know. Maybe we just didn't order the right things or something like that. But
that's the one where everybody raves about the fried chicken, right?
Yeah, and it was good, but I don't know. think Hoop-de-Doo has fried chicken that's almost as good as that too, and you get a whole show and everything from that. So, like, I don't know. It was another one where it's like, oh, this is really good. Okay, like, I don't know. So maybe I missed something. Maybe we didn't order the right things. I don't know. But it was very good. It was very good fried chicken. It just, to me, it's not a top 10 restaurant at all of Disney World. And
were
then
you just recently at Raglan also when you were down there?
We were at Raglan Road. We love Raglan Road. They have a great brunch there too on the weekends. I think Raglan Road's maybe one of the ones that's sort of, I don't want to say hidden gem because people know about it, but I think it doesn't get talked about as good a location. And they have a lot of vegetarian options there too. They have a really good beer list and drink list. They have entertainment. Sometimes they have the dancers that are there. So I think I don't know if it would be my top 5, but I wouldn't surprise me if I'm doing my own list, it makes my top 10.
What's missing from their top 10 that you would put in there, and what would you eliminate?
So the one I would eliminate is the Boathouse. Maybe this is another one we need to give another shot, but we ate there and I thought it was meh. It was nothing special. Everything I felt was overpriced. Their signature drink I thought was disgusting. Like,
oh wow, for you to say disgusting, that must really be bad.
Yeah. It's the blue drink with the little rubber ducky in it. I know people they have like 3 or 4 when they're there every meal, and I couldn't even finish mine. I thought maybe it was just made very poorly. It
reminds me of the drink that I had a drink when I bought you the what was the tiki mug that I got you from the Haunted Mansion? It was the
Madame Leota
mug. Like, the drink was dreadful. I'm not a sweet drink type of person. It had every single form of curacao and sugar in it. It was awful. So that's what I'm envisioning that you had to sit through.
So I don't know. Maybe maybe I'd give it a try for brunch. I know people like the brunch and the setting is nice and stuff like that. But again, it's one of those, if you go to a place and you have a meh meal and there's 10 places you love at Disney Springs, it's hard to like talk everyone to
all within
back.
Like a quarter mile to get to, right? You have plenty of options.
So I would take that one off and I would put Sanaa on. To me, Sanaa is a top 10 restaurant. I mean,
that's the one I've eaten at too. That's the one I made sure I get to because I know my wife loves that type of food.
I mean, there's other places I would put on there too, but to me, that's the one that's kind of missing from here. And I like that they changed up the menu a little bit. The desserts always change a lot. They have really good drinks there as well. Obviously, you can see the animals if you're eating, if you have a view of the windows and stuff. I think it's like a home run restaurant.
You know how I do achievements on my vacation? I want to say eat Sanaa's bread service like 5 times during your whole vacation. Like
especially now when you're there and you can get it to go and bring it back to your room and just like munch on it on your patio.
My daughter would eat the heck out of that. Like she loves that type of stuff, and my wife does too. I do. I don't know if my other kids. My son says he likes spicy food now. So
all right, well they have lots of spicy ones. See how far he gets onto the
he likes sriracha. He puts sriracha on everything now. So I'm like, all right, you're graduating a little bit at that point. I mean, I could do a list like this, but like I'm just coming out of my everything is a character meal phase with my kids. So like character meals are not known for their amazing cuisine.
Yeah.
So everybody was joking on Discord today that I should write a book based off of all my Disney dad like isms that I've come up with over the years, and one of them has to include like character meals and stuff like that, and the food review, like do a serious food review for like Chef Mickey's and like critique the very simple fare that they have there that's made in mass for all the people coming through that. But I love lists like this. We should do more shows where we make lists all the time, but then we tend to run out of things.
I know. Well, I feel like we did a whole pattern. Maybe it's time to revisit some of them and see if our
we did like parks, attractions, and restaurants for each park. Maybe we need to do a new series and kind of figure that out. Okay, so our DVC recommends from last week. Let's finally go over this. So, Phil, you had asked the question, what would you like to hear Josh talk about in his 100-day speech if he were to make one? Obviously, he's not going to make one. So what would you like to hear him say?
So I'd like to hear him say that he's continuing what he thought. I don't want him to think he has to radically change things or anything like that. I want him to say that they've done a lot of engagement with guests and other cast members and tried to like zone in on things that are some of those easy wins, some of those things where we can improve the guest experience. In his initial speech, he talked a lot about, he knows visiting the parks is expensive, but he wants to make sure everybody that visits there has an amazing time. So like, okay, well, how are you going to do that? What are some areas you think you can make some changes to ensure that happens for more people? I I want to hear more about like Disney Plus being the center of the like one Disney, and like what does that mean? Like, give me some more tangible things about what that means. So those are kind of like the things I was thinking about. Like, kind of, okay, you kind of had these like sort of statements and visions and things like now that you've had 100 days, how are you going to make it real going forward, or what have you already done, or like what surprised you the most that now you realize you have to put some more effort into, or that sort of thing?
I for me personally, I realize like he can't really talk about specific things that he wants to do. I mean, I would love Disney Plus to become a hub of like, you know, all this stuff that like Disney Parks blog puts out and then WDI puts out, and they're how they want to go to vertical content. I would love to be able to watch like, you know, park content on Disney Plus, like on my phone. Like there's no reason for me to bring up Disney Plus on my phone unless I'm traveling and I want to watch like the latest episode of like Daredevil. Right. Like, but if I could go in there and like, there's park content, there's Disney certified streamers that can go on there or whatever it is. I don't know, but I would love that. So I don't think he wouldn't talk about the 100-day speech. It would be more in general. So here's some of the general things I'd like to talk about. I like him to continue to acknowledge the affordability message when it comes to going to Disney World as a vacation. And they're slowly changing some of the things around. So like their offer, like this summer, you can get all 4 park tickets, not including Magic Kingdom, for a better price. So I like him to like, you know, not talk about specific discounts because I think that's silly for the CEO to do that, but like acknowledge the affordability gap. I like to hear him talking about expanding the parks and experiences, mostly in Florida, obviously, because that's what we're greedy about. I like him to talk about like, and I don't know what I want him to talk about, but I want him to talk about like how he's going to build the parks for the next 100 years or the next 50 years, I guess. Right. So we just had the 50th anniversary, like so the next 50 years, and talk about expanding technology and what kind of investments they're going to make in the parks so that it marries both the old and the tradition with like new and expansion. Like I love that type of speech because I think it's important for him, especially since experiences is now like the crown jewel of the company. It's what's most profitable. It's what's bringing everything in. They're investing a ton of money into it. So I would like to continue that language. So like, okay, yes, we invested all this stuff. We've got villains and tropical and everything else. However, what's after that? We want to know that they're going to continue to update the parks, and it's not going to be like, hey, we just made Pandora, Toy Story Land, Galaxy's Edge, and then we don't invest in the parks for 4 years and we screw up the EPCOT like evolution and all that other type of stuff, right? Like I want to see continued that. And I want him also to acknowledge the creativity of WDI and bring him more to the forefront and putting more and more of a spotlight on the great work that they do, so that if we can get all this speech, like, again, it's all going to be like political speech, right? It's going to be grandiose. It's going to be inspiring. It's going to be all this type of stuff that, you know, gets park fans all juiced up. But I think a lot of that speech plus the execution, right? You got to deliver and you got to execute. So we won't know this, but if he has this 100-day speech and then he does it again in 2 years or whatever it might be, like outside of D23, that it starts quote unquote healing the divide that's on Dis Twitter, like the cynical people, whatever. And they, you know, you're never always going to clean that away. But like, I think if you can continue that conversation and then execute on it, I think that's kind of what. So I want to hear a starting point to that healing, right? Like, you know, let's stop all making fun of Disney adults. Let's stop making fun of like all the Bob Iger jokes, the Bob Chapek jokes, and all the other stuff. Like, let's do something here that makes everybody happy. So that's kind of the hopeful speech that he brings. What did the community say, Phil? Yeah. Unless you want to comment on the flowery speech that I just made.
No, I think that was a good one. I really liked your point about highlighting more from WDI, and like we think we've seen a trend in that, like trying to put some more faces to the company and that you know who does what and that sort of thing. So I think continuing that would be a good thing. So Mama 6 said, and I think her thoughts are similar to what I was saying. She said she'd like to hear him talk more about a return on focusing on people first before profits. Mm-hmm. I guess I would twist that a little bit because obviously they need to make profits and stuff like that. But I think it's kind of like how they're saying investing $60 billion into the parks is good for the long-term profits of our company, right? And I think the same thing can happen with the focusing on people, both guests and cast members. By doing that, that actually will be good for the long-term profits for
I agree
the
with you.
company as well. So she mentions a greater focus on cast members and staff wellness, satisfaction, since they are the heart of the company, listening more closely to guest feedback and implementing changes in the parks that directly benefit them. Although you always have the problem that there's probably going to be people have conflicting things they want to see and
Of course.
stuff like that. But yeah, I think like taking it seriously and one thing I think somebody else said, like seeing him actually in the parks more. I don't know if you saw, but over in Paris, he was like walking around the Disney Village area, which is like their downtown Disney or Disney Springs, taking photos with like people and stuff like that. So far, he still seems to be out in the public a bit more than Iger was. Hopefully, he keeps.
I think that's fantastic, right? Like that's his thing. He's always kind of done that. Everybody's gonna once he's got the job, he's gonna stop doing that just because it doesn't like I think he actively enjoys it if he's still doing it. Like he has no other job, like there's no other promotion he could ever get. Like,
right.
He's at the top of the mountain right here. So if he wanted to stop, he could stop, right? Yeah. But he's not, which is great, I think.
And then she'll have shifting gears in the movies, platform, and video content realms to give loyal fans what they're asking for. Again, I think there's varying opinions about what they want and stuff like that, but I think hopefully they're learning about like what really does work for like Disney Plus versus theater releases and stuff like that. And they kind of
we talk about this all the time, like the downfall of the Star Wars brand, like it or not. Like if you like some of the content, that's great, but generally overall, there's been a decline in the quality and the stories coming out of Star Wars because people are doing their own thing and they're not listening to the core fans. You don't have to make like hopefully Filoni gets out of like the fan fiction end of things and creates good Star Wars that just not only do the super fans like, but like the general audience likes too, right? So you can take things like that, or like the Indiana Jones. Stop making like really bad Indiana Jones movies, or like I don't know, just like think about what everybody wants and make those type of movies. And they've been doing that, but it's like maybe they had to get some of these older ones out of production and put them out there. So yeah, I agree with her on that one.
Lumpy said, and this is the person who had said that, he's like, I would like to see Josh commit to what he's already been pretty good at, being in the parks. He wants to see him standing in a queue or two, talking with guests. He even mentioned taking a shift, loading a ride, whatever it takes to see what's really happening in the parks for like real guests and stuff like that. And he mentions how Walt was famous for doing that. And I don't think a CEO has done it close to the level Walt did. And I think you saw Eisner in the parks a little bit, but probably not even as much as you see Josh in the parks. So.
I mean, this is 100% true. I mean, part of the stuff, all the debacles with like Genie Plus and all the usability in the UI, because the people making these decisions aren't in the parks using it. They're like not worrying about reservation systems. They're not booking trips and vacations for their family and having to wrestle through all these different systems. So the more operational people and the more executives that are signing off on these things and making decisions based off of should be real world experience and not just like theoretical, that's a good idea type of thing.
We had there was like an offsite for our company and stuff, and they had somebody speak at it who was the former, like he had been CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, and he's on the board for Lululemon and stuff like that. And he was apparently wearing all Lululemon stuff because he's like, you have to be willing to live the brand if you're supposed to be like representing it. I think that might be a little bit extreme, but to your point, like, if you have to kind of understand what your guests are going through. So it would be interesting to have all these executives like, okay, you're planning a trip like 2 months from now and you have to do it like a regular guest. Let's see how it goes. Like that type of thing. Yep. T.L. Madden said, and I'm going to try to summarize his because he wrote out quite a bit. And if you want to see all of it, you can hop on Discord to see that. And he said, basically, you remember what that Chapek guy was doing even before he took over as CEO. We will be reversing course on a lot of those decisions, focusing on the guest experience and resort perks, less about nickel and diming and getting more revenue out of the guests. Then he starts talking about returning the Magical Express, returning a packages delivered to your room, elimination of paid Lightning Lane.
That ain't happening.
Some of these things are not going to happen, but I think he's kind of getting to the point of things like, okay, we realize we probably swung the pendulum too far the other way, and we need to like realize like how do we get more value to our guests that are paying to stay on property.
I think, I mean, he has a fantastic point here. Because of all the nickel and diming that takes you out of the Disney bubble, like. I don't necessarily think they need to get the Magical Express back, even though that would be a major win for Josh if you can do that, right? And I think because of all the different restaurants and Uber and Lyft and stuff like that, that might be a reason why a lot of the restaurants are empty. So if like you're trapping people, maybe you do have to trap people in the bubble, right? Not have car rentals or anything else like that. Maybe make it more difficult for Ubers, I guess, which I would absolutely hate because that's how I get to the parks from the or how do I get to the resort from the airport when I fly down there. But yeah, like return of packages, like just like room bringing the packages back to your room is another fantastic thing. My friend who told me the story about Disney's, he had a wonderful like pixie dust moment where like, you know, my young daughter, she lost her shoe on an attraction or whatever. We got back to our room and it was sitting there like on the table. And I went to the front desk and asked like, oh yeah, we found this shoe and we went back through the camera and saw your daughter and you, and we found out what room you were in and we put it back and that's how we found you. And he was like, he had like, as much as he's like, oh, I don't like Disney, he had like 500 really good stories about Disney type of thing. So yeah, like return to like packages delivered back to your room. I don't think lightning lanes are here to stay. I mean, all other Disney parks forever had paid lightning lanes anyway. But like, again, I think we can get away from the nickel and diming aspect of things. I think that's mostly gone at this point. Like lightning lane cost is really baked in at this point. But like, I don't know, like maybe I'm so like deep into it, I don't see the nickel and diming thing anymore. But like, I think
there's always going to be like specific things that used to happen. Like if you really use that resort delivery thing and now it's gone, like that feels like a big thing that's gone. But if you never used it, then it's not that big of a deal. So I think everybody maybe has one or two of those things that they feel like they're missing. But
I can't come up with any ideas on the fly. Maybe this should be a DVC engagement at some point. But like, what are some of the services that we could ask for that we would want back at Disney? Because Disney right now has Disney transportation, you have early access, and if you're in deluxe you have extra evening hours, but other than like that, there's really no other perks to the hotels other than staying in the quote unquote Disney bubble, right? So I think if Disney can kind of create, because they are, you know, we're especially coming into an area where there's going to be inflation, there's going to be value discussions at kitchen tables. Like, okay, we're going to do a Disney World vacation, but we can't afford a Disney hotel. We can stay offsite somewhere and kind of do it that way, right? Or an Airbnb or whatever it might be. I think there needs to be additional value add to the cost of some of these hotels. Like room delivery is one. Like I can't come up again. I can't come up on the fly with some of them, but like to make you be like, oh, Disney does this. This is not what's done at your average, like, you know, Hilton Garden Inn or something else like that. So maybe we can make a note. Maybe we can try to think of like some things that we'd like to see at Disney hotels that would make us feel, I don't know, more loved as guests. I don't know how you want to phrase it, but that's a good one.
Yeah. Finishing up with Teal Madden, you talked about the movies, a focus on creative quality over quantity, being more deliberate and careful with sequels and remakes. I think they're starting to get there to some. I mean, I think we're questioning about the live action Moana and stuff like that, but I think they're realizing what works. And a lot of these sequels, as much as we say stop making sequels, a lot of them are pretty good.
Don't get me started on that. We had a nice heated debate on Discord, and much love to everybody. Like I wasn't yelling at anybody. I love a good debate, and everybody's opinion is totally valid because this is a creative endeavor, and what you like and what you don't like. The Moana 2 trailer looked kind of goofy, but like I'm excited for it. I think my kids are actually gonna love it. It should be fun too. And remember, the movie came out a decade ago.
I know, so it does feel like it's not that long ago, but it is a decade ago, right? The people who were, you know, there's people that are 12, 13 now that were too young to see it in the theaters when it first came out, right?
Yeah. And my kids loved Aladdin. Like I think they prefer the live action Aladdin versus the animated one too.
And D+, he mentions bringing back more classic content to it, which I think would be good. Mm-hmm. It does feel like when you're subscribing to it, it should almost be an archive of all of Disney stuff. Like everything should be there, right? If I'm paying a monthly fee, I should be able to access everything. And he also had they were talking about having these like 24-hour channels and things that like you just go to it and it's just constantly playing live stuff that you just check on. And he thought it'd be cool to have like a Disney afternoon channel, a 2000s Disney channel, and things like that. I think that would be a fun thing. So if I
could put on like all the old school like DuckTales and Darkwing Ducks and all those like shows from like Disney afternoon, and like my almost teenage daughter went through a phase, and I think she might be too, where she watched all of the like old school Disney Channel like preteen kind of like sitcom-y type of shows. Like there's a ton of those that's been on that channel forever. Like I don't understand why they're not on there. And then all the old like Walt shows, like there's all that stuff could be on there. I don't know if it's like it's a right issue or there's a payout for. I don't know what it is, but like.
And I like the idea of like channels that are just playing stuff, because I'll admit one thing I don't like about streaming is I like flipping channels. Like when something goes to commercial, you flip to something else or whatever. If they had like a dozen different channels that were showing different things, I would definitely find myself flipping around and just checking out what's on.
It's funny because we've lost that, because I mean I don't watch linear TV anymore, right? I'm only streaming at all, and like the only time I can flip channels is when I'm watching like the NFL live, because it's like there's actual commercials again, right? But like I think that's what they want to get to, because I find myself hitting like a YouTube short, and then you go down that rabbit hole of watching whatever's on your algorithm for like 10-15 minutes. You're like, oh geez. Like I think doing something like that where it captivates an audience on a platform where you want to captivate people, that'd be kind of cool, just to have like a whole bunch of like chopped up, like ducktail, like 5-minute scenes and stuff like that you can watch and get to the next one, stuff like that. That would be cool. That's a fantastic idea. Idea. Hats off to TL Madden for that one.
And finishing up with Herdomaniac, who did say that he thinks folks pretty much captured some of his thoughts about experience in the parks and stuff like that. He would like to see where do they see annual pass holders in the future going, in terms of like kind of revenue and success with pass holders. He also talks about transportation, like what's the future of transportation, the monorail, Skyliner, stuff like that. And then also as a stockholder, or just from that standpoint, like what are they going to do to increase shareholder dividends and stuff like that. So I think that would be something he will get into, probably more in the quarterly earnings type things than maybe this type of speech, but I'm sure that's coming as well.
Yeah, I don't think at a 100-day speech he would talk about specific like expansions like the Skyliner monorail, but like a segment of him talking about like the future of Disney transportation and hinting at like new forms of,
or just saying like
whatever.
Transportation at all the Disney parks, but especially Walt Disney World is so important. It was so important to Walt. Like we're going to like put energy and money resources behind like kind of the future of transportation at Disney or something.
That gets me excited. Yeah. That gets me. That'd be perfect 100-day speech, right? We don't need the details. They're going to probably save them for a nice D23 presentation on stage in front of 5 million people or whatever they shove into the Honda Center over there. All right. I thought we were going to end this show at under an hour, just on time, but here we are. It's an hour and 10 minutes. We're over as usual, Phil. We thought we might have a short show today. That's our that's our famous last words, I should say. Anyway, next week's DBC engagement, we're gonna talk about what we talked about today. What are the free roaming characters you would like to see in the parks? Honestly, if you want a really large one, which I don't think they would ever put into the parks, bring that up. Like there's no limitation on this. What are free roaming? Give me your top 3 characters you'd like to see free roaming as robots or animatronics freely walking through the parks, like literally straight down Main Street. Or
I don't think you'll ever see a giant animatronic doing that. I could see something like where it's behind an area and there's like some interactive creature or something like that. So feel free to throw some of those out there too. But like, the idea of free roaming characters.
Use your imagination. This is a fun one. I like to see what people come up with. Anything else, Phil, before we leave?
Just a reminder, find us everywhere on social media at the DBC Pod, and of course Discord. And hopefully we have a good week and more news is coming. And for those of you getting to do Buzz Lightyear, I hope you enjoy it.
Score some high scores here. Get some practice in. That being said, thank you for watching, listening, everybody, and we'll catch you next time.
Take care, everyone.